Good evening, everybody, or good morning, hello, wherever you are. Welcome to this week's Monday Zen and Zazen class. And today I'm going to talk about Sawaki Roshi's quotes from the book to you. But before that, as always, let's sit together for half an hour. Thank you for joining. So, today I want to continue with Sawaki Roshi's quotes. There was one quote left in chapter 4. It's the last quote in chapter 4. It goes as follows. Scientists observe insects in a terrarium, eating their food or each other's, mating or chirping away. In the same way, we are, in everything we do, under the eye of reality. So I think that's a thought experiment that a lot of us have done, that maybe just as in the same way that we observe animals, maybe we are observed by, for example, the Christians might think that God is observing us and maybe is amused about what we do. Or it could be that the UFOs that are sighted sometimes from time to time, that actually, how do you say, aliens from outer space are observing us. And maybe they're actually performing some kinds of experiments on us and we're not even aware of that. And here Sawaki Roshi says it's possible that just in the same way that scientists observe insects, we are observed not by God or by aliens, but we are in everything we do under the eye of reality. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what he means to be under the eye of reality, but there was a Japanese Zen teacher by the name of Nishijima, Gudo Nishijima. He's one of those who translated the Shobogenzo into English. He's also the teacher of Brett Warner, an American teacher who's also on YouTube. And Brett Warner says that sometimes his teacher, Nishijima Roshi, used to say, whatever you do is carved into the universe. It's carved into the universe. So whatever way we live this day, today, February 4th, or no, it's already 5th, sorry, February 5th of 2024, that's carved into the universe. It cannot be changed. It's gonna stay like this forever. Of course, tomorrow there's gonna be February 6th and the 7th. Each day we have a new day in our life. We can change our lives. But whatever single thing you think or say you do, you can never change that. So every single thing in your life has really, how do you say, weight. You cannot change it. And I could imagine that Sawaki Roshi means something like that. Whatever you do, you're under the eye of reality. Even those things that you do when nobody else is watching. Even your thoughts are carved into the universe. So that's how I read this last quote of chapter 4. Maybe Schwansan, you would like to translate, and after that I can probably do the first one in chapter 5 as well.
我们还有最后一章，就是第四章的最后一节，然后就进入第五章了。最后一节我大概其翻译一下啊，就是很多科学家注意到了就是在这些养育箱里面的昆虫，不是互相吃对方，或者就是不是吃的食物。啊，他们不是在吃食物，或者是吃对方，或者是互相的配对儿，或者是在鸣叫，就是这些在养育箱里面的虫子啊。然后我们也是同样的这个道理，我们做的每一件事情，其实都是现实，都是在现实的这双眼睛之下的。 然后这个是那个泽木老师这本书里面写的。老师刚才说他说其实这段挺不容易翻译的，就是挺不容易理解的。为什么叫我们在现实之下？就是我们在现实之下，我们在现实这个眼睛之下，就好像从很久以前就有人说什么有外星人呀，或者是其他物种啊，可能也像观察这些箱子里面的虫子一样，在看我们的一举一动，好像也在观察到我们。在日本特别有名儿的一个禅师，翻译成中文应该叫西岛。这个老师呢，他之前有一句话特别有名儿的一个话说，其实不管你做什么，或者是你在想什么，都是不能改变的，因为那是宇宙已经刻在现实上面的，就是宇宙已经刻下来的。即便是你自己的一些想法，或者是你在做一些事情的时候，没有人看到，没有人知道，但其实它早早就已经雕刻下来了。嗯，就好像我们今天是5号，明天就变成6号，这个是你不能够改变的一个事实，或者是每天你做的就是你做的每一件事情和你的一些想法其实是不能改变的，就是这个现实就是这样的，好像是被宇宙雕刻下来，然后是他一直在看着我们已经有的这个现实。老师刚才大概说就是这个意思。
And fifth chapter is entitled To You Whose Life is About Money, Money, and More Money. Those titles were not decided by Sawaki Roshi. These were all quotes that Uchiyama Roshi took notes of, and then it was a student of Uchiyama Roshi who arranged them into chapters, and he decided for those chapters. And the first quotes in this fifth chapter, they're all very short and not very difficult. They basically describe the way we play the game of our lives. And usually it's not a very intelligent way to play this game. It's also not a playful way to play the game. Um, let's see what Sawaki Roshi says. The measure of a man, you give him a little money and immediately he starts to move. And that's not only about money, like for example on SNS, on YouTube, you give somebody a thumb up and he will do anything for you. You become his follower or her follower, and some people they go after this kind of attention. For some people it's about money, for some people it's about attention. um, so basically what I called collecting points, and we try to collect points in this form of money or thumbs up or whatever. We don't realize the game's gonna end. The game is gonna end. The measure of man, you give him a little money or a little attention, a little sex, whatever, and immediately he starts to move without realizing that he's just a slave inside a rat race.
然后第5章呢，标题是这一章给那些生命中只是关于钱还有更多的钱的人。这个名称呢，就是这个标题呢，不是泽木老师他写的，就是安泰斯罕有一个住持是，他应该翻译成中文叫内山兴正，还是应该是内山兴正老师，还是宇正啊？内山老师，内山老师他总结的就是每一章的那个标题，不是原作者写的。然后这一章特别有意思，其实老实说，其实不光大概其实这句话就是说，这些人我们衡量一个人，其实就是你给他一点钱，然后他立马就会开始行动，就大概是这个意思。老实说，其实不光是钱，就比如说我们在你的比如说朋友圈啊，或者是我们的什么那个你的各种社交账号上面啊，别人给你点个赞呀，可能你就会做一些好像为了他点赞的事情，比如说 比如说，就是要更多的注意力啊，或者是钱啊，可能也不是钱，别人给你点个赞，可能你就会去做一些事情。所以就好像老师管它叫做积分儿，就好像跟积分儿一样，就是我们总是一直在积分儿，不停地在积分儿，可是没有意识到，其实这个游戏有一天也是会结束的。我们积这个分儿，其实一点儿用也没有，就是好像也没有什么用，大概是这个意思。
Let's do a couple of more. They are all basically saying more or less the same thing. The next one is: a man is a simpleton. All he wants is money, health, a career, and pretty girls. So basically, more or less the same. Do you really think it's something special to treat yourself to luxury? I can't understand why the whole world envies the rich. That's the third quote. And the next one goes: I always make fun of the rich who act so important with their money. That's why they don't give any of it to me. And then the last one for today, it has also a little bit of relation because yesterday in Japan was Setsubun, which is a special, how do you say, feast. Today, I think also in China is Lishun, the official begin of spring in the Chinese calendar, if I'm right. And the day before that, in Japan, little kids they throw beans at demons. Sometimes the father in the family dresses up as a demon. Then the small kids they try to chase the demon out of the house by throwing soybeans. And then for dinner you eat. I think it's an Osaka thing, but I hear that recently you can also buy them in Tokyo. So-called ehomaki, very long sushi rolls, and you every year you face a different direction while you eat them. So yesterday, this year, it was east northeast. Also in our house, we had these sushi rolls and we were facing in this direction, which is east northeast. And it's kind of funny because Sawaki Roshi in the next quote says, hey, we're living in the modern age. These directions, they don't play a role anymore. But, well, the funny thing is, today in Japan, some people, they still obey this. Sawaki Roshi says, in the past, much ado was made about auspicious directions. So, depending on the day, east is a good direction or south is a good direction, and people used to consider the calendar to decide in which direction to make travels and so forth. Much ado was made about auspicious directions, but today we have satellites orbiting around the Earth, and we know that the Earth revolves around the Sun. There, the directions on the Earth don't play a role anymore. And that's where I want to finish for today. No, it continues. But what goes for directions is suddenly different when it comes to rich and poor. So Sawaki Roshi says that northeast, south, north are not so important anymore. But when it comes to being poor or being rich, people are very concerned about that. It matters to them. There, we still cling to the belief that it's better to be rich than poor, whereby in reality we can't possibly know which is better. The rich also have their worries. In any case, you can also live without money. No one has come into this world carrying a piggy bank. So without doubt, you don't need any money to be born into this world, but most of us believe that, well, you need money to live and therefore you have to work. Although, well, some people have proven otherwise, like Sawaki Roshi never really worked and he got along. I never really seriously worked. Well, of course, I worked in Antaiji, plowing the fields, but maybe I was just fortunate. But Um, yeah, some people just get along without working. I'm one of them. Of course, I'm thankful for all of you who work um, and support society through that. I would not want to make fun of that, but I think Sawaki Roshi at the end of the day is right. But of course, not working just means you don't play the game. But actually, Sawaki Roshi, he did a lot. I mean, he was full of energy. He helped a lot of people. So you could say he was in the helping business. He did a lot of work. It's just that he didn't think about that as work. And you could say that I, in a way, am working. But I don't think about that as work. I think about it as play, but it's also play that costs a lot of energy and time. So probably the question is more if you think about your day-to-day life as work or if you think about it as play. And just because you think about it as work doesn't mean that you earn money through that. Can also play. You can play your whole life. And if you really play heartfully, probably at the end of the day you will have enough money to live. Okay, so much from my side. After Schwansan translates, you're welcome to ask questions or share whatever you would like to share.
后面老师又读了几章，其实都是大同小异。我简单翻译一下，就是老师说，其实我们人就是好像一个傻瓜一样，所有人都想要钱、健康、事业或者是美女。然后后面一句是，你真的认为我们对自己这些奢侈品，就是你真的认为你得到的这些，你真的认为你得到的，你招待自己的这些奢侈品都是非常特别的东西吗？我不明白为什么我们整个世界都非常羡慕那些有钱的人。然后再下一句是我们总是，啊、我们总是，我们总是觉得好像这些有钱的人，他们他们的钱更重要。对，然后这些有钱人认为他们有钱这件事情会很重要，就是呃，泽木老师总是嘲笑这些啊，泽木老师总是嘲笑这些有钱人，什么样的有钱人呢？就是这些好像觉得他自己的钱很重要的这些有钱人，这是为什么？他们不给我钱，这也是为什么他们不会给我钱。啊，下一句，然后后面一段是，就是以前在可能是公元很久以前是有一个就是吉利的方向的，这是日本的一个传统啊，就是每年日本在立春的时候都会打豆豆，中国没有哈、就是会打豆豆、打鬼，好像就是扔豆子，每年都会扔，小孩儿会扔豆子打鬼、打豆豆，然后每年还会吃那个叫什么，就是那个用海苔，然后卷那个特别长的那个饭团儿，每年朝的方向都不一样。今年朝的方向是东，我看啊，老师说东北方，你朝着东北方是吉祥的方向，然后吃那个卷儿，好像就吉祥。然后下边这一段可能老师就是这个泽木老师可能说的是这个，就是很久以前就开始了，那个每年公元前很可能就是关于这个吉利的方向啊，就是吉祥的方向。但是今天我们有了卫星，就是我们在天体轨道上面，地球外面有了卫星，然后呢，知道了这个卫星是绕着地球转的，然后我们知道了地球其实它是和太阳是在相反的方向在自转的。所以你看，所以这个方向呢，其实在地球上这个方向呢，好像也不是一个什么重要的角色了。就是我们之前认为那个吉祥的方向，好像其实也不是什么重要的角色。然后后面是，但是好像当我们意识到，当我们把这个问题看到有钱和没钱的时候，好像就一下，好像这个方向又不一样了。就是当我们因为我们有现代科学嘛，我们认识到了好像东南西北没那么重要了。可是当我们看到有钱和没钱这个方向的时候，它又不一样了。所以我们总是相信，好像有钱人会比没钱的人更好，或者是这个 我们周围的现实可能也是，认为好像这个就是为什么好像我们知道就是有钱人会变得更好，然后这个有钱人可能也其实这个有钱人呢，他也有他自己就是担心的事情，嗯，然后其实你是可以生活下来的，如果没有钱的话，你也是可以活下来的。没有人，呃，没有人，没有人来到这个世界上就是带着存钱罐儿来的。然后刚刚老师解释说，虽然可能泽木老师他就是老师刚才说他可能也从来没有真正的工作过啊，就是因为他是个和尚嘛，他之前在寺庙可能也没有真正的像大家那种工作过，但是他之前在安泰寺的时候也种地啊，然后管理寺庙啊，你当然可以把它当成一种工作，但是老师从来没有把它当成工作，就认为他那就是他的修行，他的生活。然后泽木老师可能也是这种观点，泽木老师可能跟老师一样，泽木老师他其实之前是，嗯，就是好像也是没有工作过，但是他其实也是非常有热情的，每天也很忙。所以泽木老师这本书可能写的就是说，呃呃，就是你把工作其实当成一个游戏，把人生当成一个游戏的时候，虽然这个游戏也是非常耗时间和能量的，但是你是以一种娱乐和玩儿的心态，那你的状态就会不一样。生活可以是游戏，也可以是工作。我们应该有一种，就是让你整个生活都在娱乐的一个心态。其实，即便是你没有足够的钱，也是可以生活的。就是大概是这个意思啊。大家有问题可以跟老师交流啊。
Thank you. Any questions? Anything you would like to share? If yes, you're welcome to do so now. No questions? Chris, please.
I was thinking of a question, but I thought it's interesting. You said you don't do any work, but I think you translated like 18 books in, or no, you published about 18 books in Japanese. So you ended up doing a lot of, but anyway, the question is, so I like this part. I think it's easy for me to understand. And I feel like it's talking about, you know, attachment and desire,
Hmm.
which I feel what I've read about Buddhism, they focus on this as a problem. And I think of it as in the brain, it's like the dopamine system. Like there's a reward system
Mm-hmm.
when sometimes I feel like I can, if I'm pay attention to what's really happening when I want something or when I feel attached to something, I can kind of feel like this reward system being activated. And then you say, oh, okay, I see what's going on. This is maybe not something good or but I feel like um sometimes it's harder to understand. On the other hand, there's an aversion problem, and it's a little different because so um and I know I asked you about this long ago, and I know that probably Dogen and Sawaki understand this too. But like in yoga, they have kleshas, and
Mm-hmm.
they the cause of suffering, and they will talk about like there's one called dvesha, which is aversion.
Mm-hmm.
So this part doesn't go into that, and so my question is basically, do you do you know parts of do Dogen or Sawaki explain this other side, this aversion problem? Do they focus on that, or is there more of an emphasis on the desire and attachment?
Mm. As far as I understand it, aversion most of the time is just treated as desire with the opposite, how do you say? Like 1 and -1. They kind of have the opposite direction. Like attachment is you want something, and aversion, you want something not to be there. But I think for Buddhism, one is a form of desire, just as the other one. Aversion is a kind of a negative desire. You want something to be not there. But I think, as far as I know, most Buddhist teachers treat them as more or less the same, just kind of one is the negative form of the other. At least I,
Okay.
I never found in Dogen or in the Buddha's teaching anything where they said something different about aversion than they would say about desire. Anything else you would like to ask or share? If not, it's almost 9 o'clock here in Japan. So I would thank you for this week. And next week, we would get back to Dogen Zenji's manual of Zazen, Fukan Zazengi. We're approaching the end there as well, but it's going to take me another couple of times. And in 2 weeks is the day before Chinese New Year, but we will do it as usual on the 19th as well. Okay. Okay. So if you like, see you again on the 12th. And if you also don't celebrate New Year's, then on the 19th again. Have a nice week. Thank you for participating. See you